This week on your winter weigh-in, the Brosnan jumping bonanza at Te Rapa, both features going back to Matamata. Plus, apprentices had a field day across the flat races, with one Japanese jockey standing out. And finally, Tony Pike dials in to talk about his jockeys and spring horses as our special guest. Hello and a very warm welcome to your winter weigh-in. Great to have your company as always. Hamish McNeil joins me in studio this week. And Hamish, it's been a busy day. Jumping trials this morning, straight up to Auckland for the show this afternoon. Yeah,
Emily, great to be in studio. Definitely no rest for the wicked for me today. Had jump trials this morning, had some nice horses go around. That Marlborough Bay for Te Rapa put a lovely performance today after its win on Saturday. So yeah, it's probably one to look forward to. Yeah, looking forward to getting into the jumps racing review with you shortly. Let's also welcome Sam Weatherly to the show. Sam, you're in the comfort of your own home this week, and we had a pretty good weekend, didn't we, with our domestic racing?
Hey guys, yep, it's nice to be sitting here at home. We had a great weekend, especially I was very excited to see all those apprentices riding very well over the weekend, as they have done over the past couple of weeks. So looking forward to diving into that a little bit later on.
Yeah, we can do that shortly. For now, though, let's recap the weekend that was.
Down towards the last, Squire at it, measured it beautifully. Squire's away by 6. Squire has really taken to this hurdling caper.
To cross the winning line first, just take us through that moment.
Yeah, it's taken me a bit, but we finally got there, and yeah, really happy. Thank you so much to Jess and Pete for letting me ride him, because he's a nice horse.
Coming towards the last, at it, measured it beautifully. Countryman is second. He's going to get a placing today, but it's Jacama Crystal for Pete and Jez Brosnan. They'll get a double on the card, and Kylan Wiles and Jacama Crystal.
Funny story, we actually won the last running of the Hunt Cup, so I had it on the bench today, so it's really good.
It's Ripcracker. Honey Badger's trying to carry its army of supporters through, but Ripcracker with the apprentice allowance and Yuga Akubo.
Great for the young man's confidence. He's going to ride a lot of winners, and you know, if he can ride a couple of winners under JRA, he's going to ride a lot of winners here.
Jethro Tull is coming again, but kicking clear short of the line. Family folks. Yuga Akubo will get his second winning ride for the day for Tim and Margaret Carter. Look at Drop of Something closer in, saved a whole heap of ground, and I reckon that's the winning of the race, Drop of Something.
You talked about that confidence. Is it really helping your riding at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. I had lots of experience in Japan and here, and yeah, so good. Jockeys are helping. Yeah.
Yeah, some real highlights over the weekend. Great to recap all of those. Let's start with our race reviews, and it is the jumps action. The OTL hurdles. Squire successful in this one, and as we saw, both jumping features going to Team Brosnan. And it was a pretty big win for a UK jockey who's come over and got a first New Zealand victory.
Yeah, definitely. Look, lots of congratulations all round. First to Pete and Jess for taking out the double of the two feature races, and to Ellie, yeah, it's her first winner in New Zealand. She's given us a great ride as well. For a girl with a 3 kilo claim, she's definitely going to be worth her weight in gold over the next couple of months. As for Squire, he's definitely taking to this jumping caper like a duck to water. He's 2 from 2 now, and if anything, he's probably hit the front too easy and could go on further, and he's probably looking for further. So yeah, he's a lovely animal.
And what about the beaten horses? Obviously, we had Jerry Coop, Duke of Plumpton, English Gambler in the mix. What did you make of them? Yeah, look, Jerry Coop, solid form now. He's, what, 3 starts for 2 seconds and a win. He's probably a horse that's looking for further. He probably wants those open class trips now, those 3,200 metre trips, you know. Duke of Plumpton's been a great run first up. He's probably a horse that's going to take a lot of improvement out of it. My ride, English Gambler, he's given the winner 5 kilos and the rest of the field at least 2. He missed a bit of work from his first run. I know he overreached. He had a couple of weeks off. So heading forward, he's going to go to Te Rapa, either maiden chase or open hurdle there. Yeah, good stuff. And what about for Squire? Where are the team thinking with him? Yeah, speaking to Jess at the trials this morning, he licked the bowl clean Saturday night. Sunday morning was out in the paddock, bucking a fart, and away he went. So they're
They're leaving nothing to chance. They're going to look at the quick backup and head down to Woodville for the Hawke's Bay hurdle. Because I'm not too sure what's actually going to be there for the hurdle. I know a lot of the bigger horses are heading down for National Week, so it could be a pretty open field come next weekend.
And in terms of Ellie, obviously really big to pick up that first victory in New Zealand, and she's been pretty experienced in the UK before she came out here.
Yeah, look, she's only had, 8 or 9 rides in New Zealand now, but back home, I think you were telling me earlier, she's had 110 rides for 30 wins. I mean, that's a great strike rate for a young kid over fences, yeah, definitely.
Let's move on to the next race that we look at, which is the Wado Hunt Cup, and Jacama Crystal is successful in this one. As we know, a Brosnan victory once again, and I guess the crucial thing with this was a change in tactics.
Yeah, definitely. They've been very brave in pretty much turning their race tactics on their head. She's been very much a dominant front-running horse last season when she won at Woodville and things like that. Yeah, to drop her out the back, it's been very cool ride from Kylan. Obviously, it's worked a treat. And again, she's another horse who's going to look on the quick backup. Again, they're not leaving anything to chance. She's a horse that loves the wet. I don't think the trip down south would be the right call for her, so they're not going to wait for another month's time in case it gets a bit too dry later on. So again, they're heading down to Hawke's Bay.
You mentioned what's coming up next, and of course Woodville, I guess, is the next feature meeting. That's the Hawke's Bay meeting, big run at Woodville, and there's a couple of big jockeys that aren't going to be there when you come to the jumping ranks.
Yeah, unfortunately, after all that caper that we had at Wellington last weekend, we're missing Dean Parker and Josh Parker. So which means there's going to be some nice rides up for grabs in those big hurdles, and it's heating up this Premiership battle. Kylan Wells is only one behind Josh Parker, and he's got some nice rides going into Hawke's Bay. I was talking to him this morning. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be a good meeting to review next week on the show. Sam Weatherly will come to you and mix things up to the flat racing from Te Rapa on Saturday. And, of course, the Te Rapa Cup delivered a victory for Drop of Something. Talk to us about this run.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful ride. It was pretty to see, really. Yuga, he had a terrific day, as we said. He used his brain. Obviously, when you're back and on these heavy tracks, we often see horses, when they're travelling, scout right to the outside, like the second and third horse did. And Yuga was probably 6-7 lengths back and probably not travelling that well. So he's made the decision to cut the corner and then come out a little bit down the straight. And it was the winning of the race. If he tried to go out and around them, he probably only runs 6th or 7th. So he's used his brain, and the horses skipped through that testing track on the inside. As I said, I don't think they really needed to be going out as wide as what they did in that race. I see the race after, again, they probably won down that strip where Yuga was there. So he made the right call.
He certainly did make the right call. What do they do with Drop of Something next?
He's going to go to Taranaki in a couple of weeks. He's a horse that obviously relishes these really wet conditions and enjoys racing. I think that's his 5th win in a year, so that's nothing to be sneezed at. And then all going well into a Tamanui Gold Cup, which the way he's gone. And if we see a similar track like that, he's well capable of taking that out.
Yeah, certainly looks that way, doesn't it? The next replay that we get to is the 3-year-old event, and Ripcracker was obviously successful in this one. And Sam, another victory for Yuga in this race, and it was a completely different ride. Positive, putting the horse right in it.
Again, just another 10 out of 10 ride. Like he's riding like he's been riding for years and years, and he's still claiming 4 kilos. So I haven't quite seen a 4 kilo apprentice sort of as strong and as balanced as he is this for a long time. So he's doing really good things. He's beaten the boss. I don't know if the boss would be too happy about that, but he just rated him up beautifully in front and again saved a bit of ground on the corner and come out. And we, as I said, he probably didn't need to come as wide as we were all day. And he's found that strip. I reckon he won that on that same strip in all 3 of his winners. So he might have walked the track and he's done his homework. But the way he rode that race, he was not going to get beat. He steadied them up and again he's just kicked away and had plenty in hand.
Yeah, win number 80 for the season for Team Wexford. Great stuff, and I think they're going back to Te Rapa in a couple of weeks' time for a similar race over 1,400 metres. Speaking of Yuga's boss, he joins us now, Tony Pike. A very warm welcome to Winter Weigh-In.
Thanks, Emily.
It was a good weekend for the apprentices. You must be pretty happy with how Yuga and, of course, Sam McNabb are going. Just tell me a little bit about them and what you've seen from them at home.
Yeah, look, it's good. Yuga came to us in the beginning of the summer. Probably a bit of a culture shock for him. His language has really improved in communication skills since he's been here. And look, he had a few rides early in the summer and just made a little mistake at Taranaki and set up just short of the line and got beat for second and had a little holiday for a month, which sort of probably put him on the back foot, especially going into the summer months when the jockeys' ranks were obviously extremely strong. It was hard for a 4 kilo claiming apprentice from another country to really get going. So look, I had to give him a bit of a pep talk and just say, look, things will come right. Just work hard over the summer and come this time of year, you're a good enough rider that things will sort of start falling into place, which obviously has happened. So look, he's a lovely kid. He's really become part of the family now. He obviously had 300 rides, in that tough JRA circuit before coming down to New Zealand. So, look, he probably had a bit more experience than most 4 kilo claimers that kick off here in New Zealand. And obviously that's sort of coming into effect now. And obviously, people are starting to recognise, just how good a rider is. And I think he's probably tidy enough that, he'll continue on into the summer as well.
We saw Honey Badger in that replay, obviously Ripcracker beating your horse Honey Badger. Just talk us through what you made of that run. Maybe Te Rapa, not her favourite place.
Yeah, we actually talked about this through the week. Michael and Sam actually galloped them 2 horses together, and Michael was on Honey Badger and Sam said, I'm riding that. Michael said, no, you're not. So I let the brothers sort that one out, and maybe I'll be better off with the 4 kilos with Sam on. But actually, just her record at Te Rapa is not quite as good as the real deep testing tracks, of your Rotoruas and Tarangas. Each start there, she's just sort of lacked that turn of foot. So although she's run well in all her runs there, she's sort of 3 to 4 lengths sort of inferior on that Te Rapa sort of sand-based surface, but obviously a talented winter galloper, and I think we'll probably look to just give her one more run before putting her away, and she's a sort of mare that next season with a bit more maturity on her side, she should get to black type level in those sort of winter fillies and mares races.
Pikey, you talked about experience before with Yuga. We're going to go from one side to the other. With you'll be able to confirm Sam McNabb. He was sort of only 18 months ago. He's jumped on his first horse track work. Maybe is that correct?
Yeah, look, Sam came to do a bit of work at the stables. Obviously, Chris, my assistant trainer, is Sam's father, and look, initially he had no intention of riding. He wasn't. Probably a lightweight kid at that stage. He's done a great job to get his weight down over the last sort of 6 months. And, look, he hadn't ridden a horse when he first came to work at the stables. So he went over and rode a few ponies around the arena and learnt to ride over there, and just slowly became a little bit more interested in being a jockey. Obviously, following Michael was probably a big push in that direction. But I think he thought he was going to struggle with his weight, but with Michael's help and a lot of family support, he's managed to get that down to a pretty good level now. We're actually going to take both the boys out to a Japanese restaurant for dinner tonight. So I think he's looking forward to finally having a blowout after being on a diet for 3 or 4 weeks, which you could understand, Sam. Look, he's a neat kid, and look, he's really passionate about it, does his form very well, obviously watches all his replays, and he's got some great advice behind him, and Michael and Chris as well. To go through his rides with him. So, look, he's only just kicking off. He sort of said to me today, I was getting a bit tired by Sunday. He said, I've got a bit of fitness work to do yet. I was getting a bit weak, and the odd finish towards the end of the day. So they're the sort of things that he recognises himself, and he's going to work on. He's very forward-focused, and I think with a bit more experience, and obviously ringcraft under his belt, he's definitely got the genes to make it into a very talented rider going forward.
Just while we've got you here, Tony, horses heading into the spring. What can you give us tips-wise?
A little bit quiet on the older horses. We've got a lot of nice 2-year-olds that have performed well through the season. Obviously, look to head down to Riccarton. Should they come up as expected, 2 Hello Zane fillies, obviously Lucy in the Skies, well performed at 2, and another filly called Cream Tart, who I think could be a very talented 3-year-old filly. She obviously won a lesser class race at Te Rapa by 8 lengths. So I think they're 2 fillies to follow from the 1,000 Guineas path. Stormfront, he obviously is unfortunately to heart fibrillation in his last start at Ellerslie. But he's been back in work now for 6 weeks, and he's a talented colt. Obviously, we'll look forward to trying to get to the Guineas with him. Probably of the 2 older horses, I think Cannon Hill's going to come in well in the handicaps through a race like the Copeland Smile. It's taken a long time to mature, but his form at the end of his last preparation was very good. He'll slip into a race like that on a nice light weight. And probably an old stable favourite, Slipper Island. He seems to have a passion for straight racing, so we're going to target him for the Stewards this year. And the way he's going, it's probably an ideal race for him.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Tony, thank you so much for dialing into the show. Great info from you, and good luck with the apprentices and, of course, that spring team. We do have one more race to review here on the show, and that is, of course, the Group 1 Turf Bar Sprint. Caitlin's Wish successful in this one. Sam, will bring you in at this point. Stephen Ortridge, Maria Sanson combining, and obviously has a pretty good connection with Caitlin's Wish, does Maria. I think she's won a number of races aboard, hasn't she?
From my tally, I believe it's about 6. So that's a huge effort. They obviously get on like a house on fire, you could say. And I think she rides her in all her work and does everything like that. But she always seems to give her a beautiful ride, and she really runs for her. So it was good to see. She loves Te Rapa as well, and loves these testing track conditions. She's knee high to a grasshopper. But and 1,200 is probably a real stretch for her. But she's going well, and she'll run again in a couple of weeks' time. And say if she has another performance like that, they might look at going to a Foxbridge maybe. But you'd love to own her. I think it's about 1-7 for her. So she's done the connections very proud.
Yeah, she certainly has, and it was very heavy, wasn't it, there at Te Rapa, but the track did play well. We're going to get you off to a quick break here on Winter Weigh In. On the back of that, still plenty to come, including the news and, of course, our Winter Whispers.
It's still the 300 going clear inside the 100-metre mark. Ramp It Up runs to second, then a punter and Hella Fast, but all the way here for the 300. The 300 has won the Winx Guineas. Half Yours takes the lead, a length and a half to Bear on the loose, then Felix the Scat, but here's a stayer on the rise. Out in front, Half Yours romping in the Caloundra Cup, 4.5 lengths the margin.
Thought he was the right article. And I think he just showed today that he's the horse that we've hoped for, and he looks to have a bright staying future.
A lovely day of racing at the Sunshine Coast, and a couple of nice progressive horses that you can follow. It was a Gay Waterhouse Adrian Bott Classic. Go to the front, extend your lead in that Winx Guineas. And in terms of the Cup, well, I think Half Yours is a young stayer that you can follow. It's a meeting that's produced some wonderful horses, Winx obviously, and of course our Melbourne Cup winner from this year, Knight's Choice, posted a 4th in the Winx Guineas previously, so some nice form to be working with. Let's move on and sink our teeth into some jumps racing coming in from Warrnambool yesterday, and there was a war horse on display, Hamish, and that was Stern Idol.
Yeah, I rode a pretty big horse in steeplechase here at Te Rapa in Allred Z, but I think Stern Idol might dwarf him. He's an absolute monster, and yeah, he's put in some performance again. The old boy, he's carried 7 kgs more than the rest of the field, and he's dominated them by 12 lengths. Obviously, it's been a good run by leaderboard into second, but again, it's a 12 lengths victory, you know.
Yeah, pretty decisive, wasn't it? Stern Idol takes all of things before him. What about the weight that he has to carry? That has a huge impact, doesn't he? But he carries it with such ease.
Yeah, definitely. I think the size of him definitely has a massive hand to play in that. I mean, I think he has to be the best part of 18 hands. But you still, with animals, you still have to carry it, and he has been pretty dominant. He's mixed it up and down, but when he gets in front, he gets that soft lead. He's very hard to catch.
Yeah, as we saw there at Warrnambool. Well, let's sink our teeth into news for this week. And Sam, we'll bring you in at this point. Opie Bosson returning to the riding ranks and no doubt chasing down that 100th Group 1 win.
Yep, for sure. He's back. he's the best we've got, and arguably one of the best in the world. So it's going to be great to see him back. He's 99 not out. I thought he was going to retire on 99, but he's 99 not out. He deserves to get that 100, and it should be at very short notice. Look, he's a very good jockey, as we know. He's nearly ridden 2,200 winners, and he's in a good space at the moment. He's got his weight down from about 67 to, I think he's about 58.5 at the moment. So he's still looking to get it down a little bit more before he kicks off, but he's riding at the trials tomorrow, and he looks forward to returning the first meeting in the new season. So it'll be a great addition to the riding ranks.
We also saw Jonathan Redell achieving a milestone, 1,000 winners. I think still 12 off 1,000 New Zealand winners, but still a huge effort. And he's been associated with some wonderful horses, hasn't he?
Yeah, and look, a lot of people at home probably won't realise what Jonathan has to go through to with his constant weight battles, and yeah, I just take my hat off to him. He does it as hard as anyone that I've ever seen, and yeah, and he's still so strong and aggressive in a finish, and he's had a wonderful career as well. I know he still needs 12 more New Zealand winners, and I think that'll be pretty close to him being nearly done after that. But look, he's been associated with some good horses. Jimmy Shue probably been the best. He won 11 races on him, including 5 Group 1s, and a Group 1 in Australia being the Rosehill Guineas, and then they run second in the Cox Plate as well. So he's won derbies, he's won 2,000 Guineas, he's won, I think, 5 black type races in Australia as well. So he's done things that most jockeys dream of, and he started off as a jumps jockey as well. So look, it's an incredible story, and I really look up to him with what he does. He's just an incredible bloke.
Yeah, he sure is. And Hamish was on the phone to him a little bit earlier on today to talk about a favourite jumper, because that is a big part of his career, isn't it? And what did he pick out? Yeah, everyone forgets. They don't forget, but he was a very accomplished jump jockey back in the day. And just touching what you were touching on, Sam, like what that man goes through to get his weight down, like he'd have to be one of the mentally toughest people I'd know. But yeah, touching on jumpers, Boddle was definitely a favourite of his. I think he ended up winning a Wellington steeplechase and then onto the Grand National steeplechase in the same year. So out of the jumpers, it was Boddle was definitely one for him. Yeah, good stuff. And if you're wondering where top New Zealand jockey Warren Kennedy is, well, here's a look at him. He's back in his home country here, Sam, and they look pretty pleased to have him home.
Yes, he's. I think he would have got a real kick out of that being back home. I don't think he had much luck, but gee, look at the crowd there. It looks amazing. But we've seen another jockey we know very well, Craig Zaki. He took out the big race, the Durban July. So that's like a Melbourne Cup and a derby, and that for us over here. So once in a lifetime, they reckon. And we know how good a jockey Craig is. He won a Crack of Millions here. Multiple Group 1s. He's up there with the very best going round. So it's good to see him get a huge thrill out of that. I know that's what every jockey strives for over in South Africa is to win that big race. Yeah, it looks like a good meeting as well. Huge crowd on track, as you mentioned, Sam. But let's move on, and it is now time for our Winter Whispers. Let's start with Sam. We'll come to you for your Winter Whisper, and you found one at Tauranga for us. I think a lot of people will see it as well. Horry in race 1, when he's hit the rail there, and he was 3 lengths clear, and Rehan's pulled the stick, and he's bit green and run in and hit the rail, and like he was going to win that race for fun. And it's so very hard for a horse to regather its momentum after that, because these green horses, when they run in and they touch the rail, they touch and they overreact and they try to jump it, and it just all goes wrong. So he done well to actually hold on to run 5th, and Rehan done well to stay on board. So look, I think you were counting your money on the corner, and then someone must have homed him or something like that. But he should be winning next start, that's for sure. Yeah, looks that way. And Hamish, what about for you? Yeah, look, I'm going to take you to Smug,
I think the wind was still a bit too fresh last week to give him as my winter whisper. But he, from what I've been hearing today, he's going to head to Woodville for a maiden steeplechase with Kylan Wilds on boards. And given his last performance, I mean, he still won the race, even though he's gone 300 metres further than everyone else. So you'd have to say he's definitely, it's you can't get lost around Woodville, I don't think.
No, and I'd say he'll be a pretty short-priced favourite. I've gone to Rose Hill from Saturday, and I found a horse called Golden Strand, and this horse closed off really nicely for a good second. Hasn't had a whole lot of racing compared to a number of these other competitors, and I think when he puts it all together, the win is not far away. Came with a good late run, still a little bit green and putting it all together, but a nice job. Well, here's something I learnt on Saturday. Golden Strand, the Strand part, is Jerry Harvey's hair care company. That is his business. He's got a hair care company. Who knew? But that is something that I learnt, your random fact for your, for your Monday.
That man definitely has a finger in every pie.
He sure does. On that note, we're going to wrap up the show. It's been great to have your company, Sam Weatherly. A big thank you to you. Hamish, thank you to you too. We'll be back to do it all again next week.